Yeah, I've got mobile on my mind, but I don't know that I have mobile on my heart. Yeah, you follow that up. Coming back from New York.
Yes, had a good time in New York.
Yeah, you had a great time in New York.
I got rowdy with some of the people at the conference.
Beautiful.
Had a good time.
Yeah. So we were at AEM Mobile training.
AEM Mobile's just been announced by Adobe, and it was announced right at the end of February. And they brought some of the preferred partners out to meet and go through the training, and a very technical training. It was good. We gave them some feedback. I mean, it was nice to see just the path, roadmap for where it's going.
Yeah. So what is there to say about AEM Mobile? So it's traditionally we had pre-AEM Mobile, we had AEM Apps, we had DPS. Now AEM Mobile is those two under one umbrella, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think DPS, the way I saw it, was really just taking formerly the print publication and moving it into a very structured application that would allow you to have articles and have pages within those articles. But I think they're doing a lot more with it now. Yeah. And then that's kind of the transformation that's happened, at least from what we saw out in New York.
Right. So on the DPS, what was traditionally called the DPS side. Now, back when we saw it, it was a desktop application, wasn't it?
Right.
Like when we saw it originally.
Right. Exactly. I think that the first demo, it was really just tied to InDesign and moving artifacts from InDesign into this structure that would allow you to.
And it had some capabilities to create. I think they were still calling it folios, but it had some capabilities to get content from AEM into DPS and use it in that same way. And they've really, that integration between AEM and what was DPS, they've really tightened up a lot. But one of the big changes is that it's now a cloud service. Right. So DPS is what they're calling the mobile on-demand service, which is a very generic name, but that's fine. So the on-demand service, this is where you're going to go in. All of your content is going to funnel into there from whatever sources you've got it funneled.
Right, that's a good point. It's not just AEM. AEM is just one more source that you can pull content in from. You can still pull it in from InDesign. You can just pull in a stream of images if you want to work into your app.
Right, because they've got sitting right in front of that is an HTTP API.
Yes.
So you shove whatever you want to into there. So they were really talking about getting your WordPress content into there, getting your Drupal content into there, I don't know, what are the kids using these days to get their content on the web?
.NET Nuke.
It's
one of my favorites.
Okay, you're beyond me at this point.
What I do think is cool is with that API is if there is a very formal publishing process, you can integrate that into your process too. You can integrate in your approvals and all the different flow of content. Doesn't necessarily need to be an AEM. It can be whatever flows you follow. Now with that HTTP interface, you're able to then push it up into DPS and then turn it into a native app, which I think is very powerful.
Right. Yeah. And they took us through sort of setting that up and the API keys involved, and it looks pretty straightforward to get that up and running.
Yeah, once you get all the keys done, the logins and everything, it is. And we were able to move back and forth. We were doing most of our authoring in AEM, back and forth between AEM and then pushing it to the cloud.
And AEM uses that same interface. AEM doesn't have something that's magical and custom built for it.
Exactly.
You're using that same interface to get the content out there.
What did you think about the integration, or now that what's formerly AEM Apps and DPS are now under one umbrella? How did you see that integration work while we were out there? What's kind of your thoughts on that?
The integration, the fact that they are under one umbrella?
Yeah, exactly. These were pretty two diverse products that are now under one offering.
It really looks like, from an AEM apps perspective, we've been working with that a while now, and you're building a real hybrid application inside of AEM. You're authoring your application inside of AEM. You're pulling it down out of AEM. You're deploying it to PhoneGet Build. You're doing what have you with it. that's still, serving a use case of its own, even in this marriage of these two things. Whereas what was traditionally called DPS, that's now, a lot of those capabilities are in the on-demand service. That's serving its own sort of tailored use case.
Right.
So AEM apps, as it originally existed, it's looking like it's going to continue to exist in that capacity.
Right. Yeah. So when you want a full, very customized hybrid solution, that you're going to go with AEM apps.
Right.
But now, what I think is interesting is they are starting to take some of the PhoneGap plugins and the Cordova plugins that give you access to native functionality and work them into what was formerly the DPS solution, is now AEM Mobile.
Right.
So some of your views of your articles are going to be able to access native functionality and be able to get access to the accelerometer if you want to.
And it's interesting. I think it's important to talk about the difference between an app that's going to come out of AEM apps and an app that's going to come out of the on-demand service, because what you're going to get out of AEM apps, and what you were saying, you're going to get a highly custom and authored hybrid application, so pure Cordova / PhoneGap application. Out of DPS, it's hard to, and I keep using that term, but out of the on-demand service, in AEM Mobile, you're going to get a native application. So you're doing work in the on-demand service in this cloud platform to configure, this is sort of how my navigation is going to look, here's where the banner is going to be, here's the collection of content that is going to be presented, and that becomes a native app.
Yes. Yeah, which I think is very cool, very powerful. Probably need to note that native app is very structured.
Right.
So it's not just build whatever you want, move it here, whatever there. If you are willing to work within the AEM Mobile parameters, you can create a very robust application, but it will follow the tables will be kind of where you set them to be, and there won't be room for making slight adjustments. But you will have a fully native app, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and that's one complaint about the hybrid app is that it's a hybrid app, and for how valid that is, I don't want to get into that discussion right now. But this
it's a 2-day seminar. That's
sure,
a 5-minute video.
It's more of a 2-day drunken rant, but but that this is a truly native application, and like you said, there are the on-demand service is a platform for a non-technical user to build such an application, and as such, you're limited to the constraints placed upon you by the platform. But they are looking to, as moving forward, hearing customer feedback, adding more capabilities, adding more customizability. Right now, the content of the application is made up of what's called articles, and it's kind of an unfortunate legacy name, because looking down the road, a lot of what is called articles aren't necessarily going to be text articles of content. One of the features that they talked about is being able to get Cordova functionality into an article and actually use Cordova plugins and things of that nature to pull in more native capabilities into your article, which at that point is probably not an article.
Exactly.
But
it's more of a view within the application than it is an article anymore.
Yeah, so when you're looking at the nomenclature around these things, I think considering an article as a view, especially looking down the road, is probably important. Because you're able to do a lot more with an article than just present content.
Right. And another thing I thought was very cool is beyond the articles or the views is the integrations that you do get out of the box. Analytics are already integrated into the application that it provides. Targets coming down the road. That seems to be on the roadmap. You're going to get targeting in.
And that's been a big ask for really any time that we've worked on AEM apps or talked to people about AEM apps is how do I do targeting or even some of the standalone Cordova work that we've done.
Yes.
How do I do targeted content in this context? And it's it's very complicated.
Right.
It's been very customized And so to have that built into the platform is a big deal.
Right, because this isn't a web app you're dealing with. This is a stateful application that at any time can be opened, and so that the targeting is always going to be a little more complicated.
Yep.
And one of the other things I really loved about New York was meeting with some of the other partners too, and just sitting around the table talking about the different apps. And there were some cool visions of what this could turn into. Some people were talking about possibly using the AEM Mobile native application, but interspersing different Cordova web views within it. I thought there was some really cool innovation there. That down the road that this product might turn into a much more integrated between AEM apps and what was formerly DPS.
But in addition to being able to, so in some of those conversations, one of my takeaways, and like how accurate this is, I don't know, because this was all said in passing at this point.
Right.
But it sounds like one of the future visions of the product is to provide some capabilities to not only get Cordova enabled articles into your article suite, but also full native views, additional native functionality. So if you wanted an augmented reality view that actually uses some of the native capabilities, or a Google Cardboard view that actually uses some of the native Cardboard capabilities, being able to somehow build that view externally and port it into the on-demand service platform, the mobile platform, for use inside of a future application. That's now you're getting into the space where you're empowering the end users of this to cobble together like very real native capabilities into a fully native application without having to be a developer themselves.
Right. Yeah, I think I can definitely see a use case for that within a large organization.
Right.
Say, you have internal applications, that give employees information, and a lot of times the complaints are they go dormant over time because they don't want to keep pushing updates to the applications, and they eventually just die off. But you could see this as a tool to continually update information, but also as a way to have just an author get in there and create new applications and more interesting experiences, within that company, as well as prove out new functionality as well.
Right, and a lot of the value that you get from this sort of solution is reuse. So reuse of these, what we're calling articles, and I'm hoping they'll be called something else in the future.
Well, because exactly, they're more than an article at that point.
Right.
You're attaching native functionality through the plugins to it, and they're very powerful.
Yeah, so you build 10 different apps with different combinations of functionality and see which one lands. You can spin that up real quickly.
Right, your A/B testing could be internally anyway. Could be really powerful.
Yeah. I mean, reuse in general is going to be. It's sounding like it's a big topic for 6.2. It's sounding like it's a huge topic in general. People don't want to author content multiple times.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll have some future videos about our various rantings on content reuse.
Yep.
But that's a big advantage that I saw both for AEM Mobile, the on-demand service side, as well as the traditional AEM apps development. You got anything to say in closing?
In closing, overall, I really appreciate them bringing us out. It was very worthwhile and allowed us to gain some new insights into it. Yeah. How about you, Paul? Do you have any final thoughts on our week in New York?
My hotel room didn't have a bathtub, so that was disappointing.